This is Daniel Fontana.
And I'm Almira Duca.
And we're looking at Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh.
The first thing that I notice when I look at this painting is that the stars aren't evenly distributed. And I feel like Van Gogh did this purposely to show that there is beauty in imperfection. And he pulled that off really well because the stars are almost all in one corner while there's a big gap in the middle, but that gap seems to have like a swirl in it that just makes it seem that it's supposed to be there, but in a way that it's not. Do you think that the villagers, this is a normal thing for them? Because it shows that there's no one really outside. They all seem to be in their homes. Do you think this is like a normal night for them? That's why there's no one out?
Yes, I do think it's a normal night because, like you said, no one is out looking at the stars in the sky, and it's a very, very beautiful image. And like you said, all the lights are on in the house, so everyone is home, but no one's outside looking at any of the stars. Or
another thing that I noticed is that there's not that many geometric shapes in the painting.
Yeah.
Because it looked like Van Gogh, he purposely did it that way because he wants to show the unrealism in a beautiful image. Because in a lot of paintings, there's like really square images. Like if you look at a picture of New York City, you'll see the buildings are really sharp and edged, and it's supposed to look like that. And then in this one, if you see, look, the roofs of the houses, they're not perfect rectangles. They're angled different ways. And
yeah, I feel like it's all very fluid. It's not. It's nothing very sharp. It's all very like rolling and circular, and it's very like soft, and kind of feels like life goes on. There's nothing, like no worries type of society. Like everything kind of just keeps going on.
And I see that also in the colors, that the way that he painted it was because the colors, they're very sharp with each other in some places, but others they are. Like the moon seems to be very blended in with, it goes from a yellow to almost like a aqua green to a navy blue and purple, which that was a nice blend to show it's soft. But then if you look into the village, you'll see blackness and darkness, and then there's a spot of light from a house. And I think he did that purposely to stand out, to show that there are people living in this village, no matter how secluded it looks.
Really, if you think about it, there aren't that many colors. There's really just a lot of blues and greens mixed together with some black, and of course the yellow for the stars and the moon. But generally, it's mostly just blues and greens and yellows kind of just mixed in to create a bunch of different shades and to create this sky that looks like this.
Yeah, like there aren't, like if you look really, really closely, there aren't that many houses. Because at first in the back on the bottom right, there's hills, and then it seems to be like almost like trees in a forest before it reaches the houses. If you look closely enough, it almost looks like there's about only maybe 8 houses or 9 houses, and then there's the church in the middle, which could signify that it is a small village and the religion is really important to them, because why else would they put it right in the middle?
Yeah, I think the religion plays a very big role in this town that we're looking at, especially because the church is in the middle of the picture and it's so dominant over all the little houses. So you could see that the religion does have a big impact on these people, and it's part of their daily lives, and it plays a big role in how their society is oriented. It looks like it's very religion oriented and routine oriented. Like they have a set schedule, they have a set time, they do things that, like everything is very regimented there.
Yeah, you could, like, a daily life in the village seems like it would be a really repetitive sequence because there isn't much to do because they are secluded. So I feel like a normal day would be wake up in the morning, get dressed, go to church, come home, do housework, go to work,
go to school,
like a schoolhouse, maybe like even in this church is a schoolhouse, because there doesn't seem to be any other like showing other than small sheds, and it feels like it's just a repetitive process. They don't really advance toward anything.
You can also see that they're very secluded just by how their surroundings are just mountains, and we have this gigantic cypress tree here, and it's just it's very secluded, very small, and I feel like it's very like primitive. They don't have that much technology, not much TV or internet or anything like that. It's more just like old school.
Yeah, I feel like the cypress tree, it just represents them, how big of an impact it makes on the town, because in the painting that's probably the first thing you notice, and at first you can't really understand why it's there, but in a way it's almost like blocking its view, like the town's view, from what's on the other side of it, probably trying to keep that unity,
keep them secluded.
Yeah, keep that unity in the village and keep it that way, almost like an Amish kind of country.
It's really amazing how the tree is just so dominant over the entire town. As soon as you look at the picture, it really just captures your eye, and it seems like it's there to like keep the town secluded or together, or maybe it's even a barrier to something on the outside that they don't want to come in.
I also feel like the mountains behind the village, they seem to be very bare because they are blended in with the sky, so that maybe during the daylight they aren't green. They're not, there's no trees on them. Maybe they're bare, maybe it's off season, that they're not useful. It could be just rocks, and that's even worse because the town is even secluded even more because they can't get surpast that, unlike if it was like a forest where they could eventually get to the other side and have wildlife.
Overall, this is a very simple yet complex painting at the same time. It's simple in that there's the same circular motion of his paintbrush, and there's not that much colors, there's not that much going on, but it's also complex because you have to look at, does Van Gogh have a certain meaning of why he put the church in the middle, or what's the point of the cypress tree, and all these different things, like what about the big swirl in the middle of the image? And there's a lot to think about as to why he paints things the way they are, but overall it's very, very simple, very basic.
I feel like he's trying to show people that, you could look at one image one way and another person can see it in a different way, because obviously this isn't actually what the village looked like because it's abstract, it's not realistic, but in his eyes he finds beauty in the smallest things, and people don't realize how much of an impact a star in the sky could be. It's not just a glance of light, but it's actually just like a burst of power and energy.